Good morning. It's a frosty one today. Starting the day off, we're hauling some corn in. We've got 3 loaded trucks plus some on the grain cart here. So Dad brought Phil and I down to the field. We're gonna take the first couple of loads in, and then I'm gonna go back and get the fertilizer spreader. We gotta spread some MAP on this whole field. So we'll get that done here this morning, and then hopefully our potash delivery will be here by the time we're done with all of that. Only line this morning is our truck. Totally different than last night. Back at the farm here, Dad's doing he was getting ready to start spraying, and he was looking at some stuff and noticed that we had a hose that's in pretty rough shape. Let me show you. So inside the top of the tank, there's a hose that hangs down. It's the inductor hose. It's that one.
I want to look inside and see if the fitting looks like.
It looks okay. I just looked at it. Anyway, we're pretty sure these are the same hose. They got the same numbers on them. This one is just swelled up crazy like, and it's just deteriorated. So we're gonna try and replace it. All right, so here's where we're at with stuff. Phil's still taking care of corn from yesterday, and he might want to haul some out of the bins. We've got fall contracts so let's talk about marketing a little bit. I don't do the marketing. Phil does the marketing, and he's done a great job with it. But for most farms, crop farms at least, the majority of our expenses are in the fall, right? Between September and November is when we pay a huge amount of the bills and the inputs that we need for the following year. We're paying for seed, we're paying for all the fertilizer we're putting on this fall, we're prepaying for some of the fertilizer for next year. We're gonna have to do chemicals. That's maybe a little bit later, but still, we're paying rent on the rented farms, and just a huge amount of expenses in the fall. And so while some people would say, well, you need to have more bins so you can store everything you produce, yeah, okay, you're right. However, we need the cash flow to pay these bills and expenses for next year. And so when we are marketing our grain throughout the year, not just in the fall, we can pre-sell, basically forward contract the bushels that we are producing to deliver whenever we want. And we do a lot of that for winter delivery, for January through March. We do some for summer delivery, stuff that we're going to store that we're going to put in the bins. But we also sell a lot for fall delivery for cash flow purposes, because we know that we're going to need that cash to pay these bills. And so Phil had, I don't even know what the number is. I think it was around 60,000 for fall delivery on corn here. But anyway, we've got to get those bushels delivered and fill those contracts, and then figure out where we're at with bin space. But I don't think we're going to be able to fit everything in the bin, because we've had pretty darn good corn. So even hauling that 60,000 in for cash flow, we might still have to haul a little bit more than that. But we're to the point where we've got to get that done, and then figure out where we're at with bin space and acres that we've got left, and figure out how much more we're going to need to do. So he might need to haul corn. That was a long way of telling me that he might need to haul corn today. Hopefully we can go shell some more and get some more dry corn coming right out of the field, and not even run it through our grain system, and just take it right to town. That saves us a lot of money, because we don't have to handle it. Saves us time, but it does slow harvest down, because we can't keep up hauling to town when it's 10 to 15 miles away versus coming back here to the farm. So we'll see how that goes. So I am going to spread some fertilizer today, but I need to spread some fertilizer on this field. This is my double crop beans. And I told Dad that we had some stuff to go on here. He's like, well, why don't you just go combine them and get them done so you can spread it? I'm like, they're not ready. But maybe they are. That's what we're doing. We're out here looking at the double crop beans to see if we can combine them today. Now, we had a super heavy dew this morning, so I know they're not going to go right now, but I don't really see any green pods out here. That's what I was afraid of, is that we would still have a bunch of really thick green yellow pods. Green, yellow, yeah, you got it. Look at that, a 4-beaner on my double crops. And that these just wouldn't be ready, but that doesn't seem to be the case. They're not brittle yet. They can't harvest them now, but by this afternoon we might be able to. Those beans are relatively dry. Oh, yeah. It might be double crop bean day, guys. At least the start of them. Absolutely. I'm shocked by how hard these beans are for as wet as the pods are. Like, these beans feel like they're about 8%. That one was a little softer, but they're very hard. Probably plenty dry. They might not be that dry. They might be 13 to 15, but so what? If we can get the pods cleaned up, let's get them done. I think we might do that. I don't expect these to be very good. Bean size is pretty small because we got so dry. Sorry about the sun there. Because we got so dry during September when these beans really needed the rain. They just didn't get very big. So they're pretty small beans. But there's pods out here. There is some beans here. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping they make 20 to 25 bushel out here. I'd be pretty happy with that. I think we might try that later today. There's a few spots with more leaves on them. There's going to be a few green ones, but it's 25 acres. We're looking at maybe 500 bushels out here. It's not that big a deal. How wet my boots got just walking out there. Gonna be a couple of hours before we could run any beans. It's okay. We got other stuff to do. So, since I think I'm going to run those beans today, we're just going to put all this fertilizer in because they're the only two fields that I got left is the double crop beans and the corn we harvested yesterday, so we can get all of this spread. Oh, there's my potash. That's a 50-tonner. We got a 50-ton load. That one is a stay in Michigan load, and he's close to Ohio, but didn't make it. It's funny because the road to the north here curves a little bit, and for a while it is the state line. It literally runs on the state line, and he's like, my GPS kept saying, welcome to Ohio. I'm like, no, I'm not in Ohio at 160,000 pounds. So, yeah, he's got 52 ton on that thing, and, well, here's the problem. That fertilizer can't get rained on. And he's gonna pile it out there on that lime pad like we did our wheat starter a few weeks ago. There's a chance of rain tomorrow, so we gotta go. We gotta get all this stuff spread today. Let's do it. Everything's working good there. We need to come down and get my signs at some point. I got 3 field signs on this one. We'll get there. So we're gonna perimeter the field. There is still the grain cart and a truck sitting over there. We might have to move them out of the way or something here when we get back around there, but no big deal. All right, I got everything done except for this stretch up to the driveway. So we're gonna move everything out of the way, do that, pull her out and head home. I imagine Phil would be back pretty soon. We'll come back and get the rest of this equipment. Oh, that looks like a lot of potash. All right, cool. We gotta get our double crop beans done first. We'll get there. Came back over here to get our equipment, and I was just looking where we had some bare ground here, and you can see all of our little fertilizer granules. They kind of blend in, so they're hard to see, but they're there. It works. The spreader works. All right. Well, I didn't have this on the agenda for the day until very late last night when I was talking to Dad. But let's go run some double crop beans. Doesn't look as big after running a 40-foot corn head. Just saying. All right. Get our PTO shaft hooked up and our hydraulic electrical coupler, and see what we get out here. Hopefully they're reasonably dry. All right, well, I think everything looks good from here. Let's dive into them. We've got a bunch of weeds on these first pass ends. I didn't have the boom primed on the sprayer when we sprayed the beans, or the, after we combined the wheat, to kill that off, and well, that's what happens. All right, I think we've got stuff dialed in here okay. It says I've got a lot of sieve loss. I don't know if I really trust that. It's double crop beans. It's not. I mean, we want to do a good job. We're going to do a good job, but we're not going to get too worried about little things. We got a lot of pods. We're trying to clean up the pods. How do we clean up the pods? I've got the concave at 0 and the rotor speed all the way up to 900. We're way outside of the normal parameters as it is. So trying to keep it tight and fast to get them pods thrashed out so we can then blow them out. Yeah, we'll see. If this field makes over 20, I'm going to be thrilled. And right now it says 23. Yield monitor on the combine is going to be way off because these beans are so drastically different than anything else we have done that you can't trust it at all. But I would be pretty confident these beans will all go straight to town, and we'll get a final weight on them, so we'll know. It says they're 13 too. That's awesome. If that moisture is correct, this is the perfect day for running double crop beans. So gotta get the pods out. How do I get those pods out? Close our sieve down, let them go through the re-thresher. It's not ideal, but we might have to. Well, I had a little bit of these ones over here that are a little different color. They were a 2-2, so they were a little riper. We'll see what these out here do. I think they're still dry, but yeah, I don't know, so far these are better than I was thinking they might be. Kind of what I was hoping for, I guess. Hoping for 30. I don't know if we'll get 30, but I'm hoping for 30. Keep in mind these double crop beans, so this is the stuff here at Waldron, right? Obviously we've got a lot more of these down to Berkey that we'll get to after we're done with the corn down there. But I did like 25 acres in this field, and it was mostly just using up seed that we had. I had a little bit of these 2-2s left, and then the rest of it is just throw in every open bag, every plot bag, anything that I had left in the warehouse that was treated. We threw it in the planter and planted them out. So there's anywhere from a 2-2 to 3-4 beans out there. They're all mixed together. Who knows if they're any good or not. Honestly, when I planted them, I wasn't entirely sure they would even finish and we'd be able to harvest them. And here we are, the 24th of October, running them. That's just the weather that we've had this year. It's crazy. So, I don't know. These aren't bad here. 49, look at that. 50, holy cow. I mean, they're going to vary just like all the rest of our crops do, but yeah, so far, so good. And we got our sample cleaned up pretty well. That's way better than it was. All right, let's roll. We are gonna end up with a whole truckload of beans off of this field. Look at that. What do we got done? 17 acres. It says 33 average. That's fantastic. We got, I don't know, not quite 10 to go, I would imagine. Oh, they look pretty potty there. Most of them aren't too bad, but they're double crop beans. They're gonna be potty. Well, there's the last of them. It's about 24 acres. We tiled through some of what I planted in the back there, so I didn't really get to harvest them all, but that's okay. We're gonna have most of a truckload though, so Phil just got back from hauling a load of corn in. He's gonna put these beans in the truck and go sell them. We're gonna take a drying charge. It says they averaged 14.5, which isn't really that bad, but there are some green ones in it. It varied quite a bit. That's kind of the moisture map. So we were really dry down here, and then the yellow is not bad, the green's kind of wet. And then there's the yield map. Most of them were really good. That's awesome. 33 bushel, who would have thought? All right, well, that was easy and quick. It's only 1:30. Now we go shell corn. Well, the combine and the grain cart were in agreement. They went 33. That's awesome. So we're getting the combine fueled up. I got everything switched back over. We got the corn head put back on. We're gonna keep shelling corn. I'm gonna try and get Dad and Phil set up so they can work on it because I got fertilizer to spread. We got to get this stuff used up. Mom in it so she can help us move the rest of this stuff. I'm gonna try and get this semi turned around here. It takes a minute to get everything opened up so we got room to work. All right, Dad is off. He's gonna shell corn here for a while. I'm gonna go spread fertilizer. Phil should be back with the other truck. He's gonna help run the grain cart and hauls. This stuff's all going straight to town, so I don't know, just let them work at it. Okay, let's get this fertilizer spread. So we've got some MAP still in the spreader, and that goes where those double crop beans were. So we're gonna go spread that out. Once that is empty, we're gonna load up with some of our potash over there, and then we've got to redo our calibration, do a spreader test thing. What do we call that? Pan test. Probably should do that, and then we'll go. This GPS receiver's been real slow today. Starfire 3000, and for whatever reason it's not wanting to grab the Starfire signal very good, so I've had to sit and wait on it for a couple, 5-10 minutes. I did it earlier and I'm having to do it again here. Should throw my 7000 on there, but I'm not real sure where it is right now. It might be on the 8430 from planting wheat, maybe. Not sure. So getting this fertilizer spread is actually what really prompted doing the double crop beans today. It wasn't really on my radar until I was talking to Dad last night and said that I wanted to go and do the stuff on that cornfield that we shelled yesterday, and then this would be all that was left of this fertilizer here. We'll have a little bit to do at Berkey, but here, this is it. And he's like, well, why don't you just combine those beans and spread it all and be done with it? Yeah, why don't we do that? So that's what we did. So we're gonna get this spread out here. Hopefully we come out just about right. We should have just a little extra, so I set my script up 10% or something. We're gonna put it on a little bit heavier. We had double crop beans on top of the wheat, so we took a little extra off here. We'll throw a little extra at it. Oh man, this looks like a lot. All right, first step, we need a density. It should be around 70 pounds per cubic foot. Let's see what we get. It's like about 67 to me. We'll go with that. Close enough. We can tweak that. We just got to get it close now, and then we can tweak it based on what our scale says as we start spreading. All right, well, we've got our spreader loaded up. We've got a weight. We've got a field. We're going to go ahead and spread some with the settings we used for MAP, because this is a very similar product to MAP. Not identical, but similar as far as density and granule size and characteristics and that kind of stuff. So they should spread similarly. And make sure we get our rate dialed in right, and then we'll see if we can get those pans out and do our pan test. I can see stuff getting hit out there, so I know we're spreading and throwing stuff. So that is good. Looks like we've got two different rate zones in this field, but we have to cover the whole field. The red gets 160 pounds. The green was 240, I think. So a little bit drastically different zones. I've got our gate set at 2 inches for this. I was at 1 for the MAP because those rates were 100 to 140, and I knew this was quite a bit more, so we set it at 2 inches, basically double, because our rates are double, and we'll see how that works. So far, so good. The potash here is kind of the last piece we're waiting for on some of these fields to be able to do the tillage. Like this field, for example, we spread some lime out here. This was the first field we used the spreader on, did our pan testing out here with the lime. But we haven't been able to work it yet because we needed to get this potash spread on it. So now that this is done, we'll be able to come out here and do the fall tillage on it. All right, so we spread this 21.89 acres. So according to I set this number to what the scale said before we started, right? So this is what the rate controller thinks that we have left based on how much it's supposed to have put out, 18,426. This is what the scale has, 18,970. So we're off by about 500 pounds, 550 pounds on 20 acres, 22 acres. That's not bad. But we can tweak that bulk density number just a little bit to try and get those a little bit closer. So I got to do some figuring to figure out which way we need to go. But let's see. Okay, so I need it to apply more than it is. So basically the product is not as dense as what the controller thinks. It's a little less dense than 67. So let's go 65.7. And then we will go back to the rate controller and we will, what's our number? 18,970. 18,970. We'll set them back the same and we'll do the next field and compare and see if they are closer after that. So we went from bean stubble to now we're in corn stalks. So clearly we're spreading potash on a lot of stuff. This field, this is where my corn plot was, right around my seed warehouse and house here. It got 2 tons of chicken litter on it last year, and anything that we put chicken litter on, we put potash on, additional potash the following year. Now we're a lower rate here at 140 pounds per acre, and it's a straight rate on everything. We aren't variable rating it. Essentially what we are saying is there's not quite enough potassium or potash in that chicken litter to carry for 2 years, whereas where we spread bean stubble with this potash and the MAP that we did, we're putting on enough for next year's corn crop and the following bean crop. But that's not quite the case with the chicken litters. So that's why we spread the corn stalks after we put chicken litter on, the year after we put chicken litter on, and that's what we were doing here. which means we use a lot of potash, and we are going to have to spread a lot of acres. So, good to get going with it here. We're going to cover a lot today. We've made it to a good spot to do our pan test. So I think we've got the rate dialed in pretty good. Let's go ahead and get our pans and throw them out here. This is a lot easier with two people, but all right, we'll get it. Hopefully we check it once and all is good, and that's all we have to check it. So here's our pan test set up. We've got these catch pans out with the grids in them. They're every 10 feet. I think the book says to actually do them every 5 feet. That seems like overkill to me. So we're doing them every 10. We've got 9 of them, so we cover the 80 feet. And the one on the far end is in the center of the pass that we're going to spread now. The one on this side is in the center of the next pass. But we're going to make them going the same direction. So both of them going east. That's the way the book says to do it. So that's how we're going to do it. I'm going to close this stuff up because we're going to leave this set right here. And I don't want to get a bunch of fertilizer in it. And we'll make our pass. And then we'll check them and see what we've got. Right over top. Didn't even run it over. We're just going to make the whole pass and come back and do the other one. Well, let's see how we did. We'll open our kit back up here and pull out the little collection tubes. Look, we got some. It spread it. Okay. We need this thing. And we probably need the funnel down there. Not a lot, but that's what we get. Pattern in the pan looks good. And then we get, this is going to be really hard to compare because that's a tiny little bit. That's what happens with these low rates. Okay, well, we're going to take all of them. We're going to pull those screens out, and we're going to come over here. And then we are going to dump that into one of those test tubes. Just like that. There's not much in there. I'm going to go to the next one. All right, so there's not much in these. Relatively good news. This one here, which is directly in the middle of the two passes. So this got the overlap kind of from both sides. It's got just a little bit more, but it really is more bigger particles, whereas on the center of the pass, like this was the one that went between the tires, it's got more fine. So by weight, they may not be that much different. And it's really just, those three are just a touch more. But we're not going to call that much. So I think we're pretty close. We can make a minor tweak, try and get more in the sensor, which is just a movement on our little flow divider gate thing on the back of the spreader there. But we aren't going to get too worried and carried away about that. And it is close enough for me to, let's go. Oh, while we're standing out here in the double crop bean field, Phil hauled that load in. There was 758 bushels on it. Off of 24 acres, that is 31 and a half bushel per acre average, I think, or 30 and a half. Made over 30. That's a win. That's a win. They were a little wetter than the combine said. I think they were like 16.7 or 16.8 or something like that. So what? Doesn't matter. They're gone. All right, well, I got done with that field. We're going to reload the sprayer and make a trip a little farther away. We're not empty by any means, but over half of what we put on there is gone. I think I went the wrong way with my adjustment earlier. My density adjustment. It was off by more when I got done with that than it was before. So thinking about it again, I was backwards, which happens a lot. Anyway, I readjusted. We went from 67 down to, I tried to go to 65 and a half or 66 and a half. I actually went to 65 and a half and we were off too much. So then I went back up to 67 and a half because we were closer before. So we'll try that. If that doesn't work, we'll go to 68. All right, well, we're loaded again. I hope those chunks and some of the straw and stuff that I got feeds through there okay. I had this big long lime pile or pad here that I was hoping they would dump it on, and this pile kind of got off the edge here, and we got some straw and stuff when we were scooping, but hopefully it'll feed okay. Should be fine. All right, well, we've got this field done. 66, 67 acres here. Cool, we're gonna jump right across the road. This one is now ready for chisel, for tillage. Oh boy, we're running out of time. Spreading after dark. We're gonna load her up and go again, I think. But we should get this field done. We're down to 1,700 pounds. It's just about right. It's gonna work out pretty good here. It's just nice. All right, we are gonna load up again and go spread it out one more time and then come back and reload. And we might not get it all cleaned up here, but we'll get most of the pile cleaned up at that point. It's not the end of the world if the spot ash pile gets rained on. I'd rather it not, but it is what it is. It'll be okay. MAP, the stuff we were spreading earlier today, you absolutely would not want to get rained on, but that costs double what this stuff does, for one, and it's a little more water soluble maybe, I don't know, but I don't think we're gonna get that much rain anyway. Not supposed to be much. I just, you know, it could get crusty and form some chunks and be a little harder to clean the pile up if it gets rained on. So if we can avoid it, I would like to. But we gotta avoid getting the chunks. I got a few chunks in that. I told you that wheat straw and stuff in that first load, yeah, it caused me some problems. I didn't really show it because I was kind of trying to get this done and in a hurry, but I had to stop a couple of times and get out and pick some chunks out of the belt. It's no good. Oh, it might not look like it, but the pile is smaller. Back spreading, we finished up that field. That was corn stalks that had chicken litter last year, so it got 140 pounds across the whole field. Right next to it here we have a bean field, bean stubble field that needs potash because we don't put chicken litter here. And it's got all kinds of zones. It goes from 160 to 240, I think. This is one of them fields with a big muck hole in it here. Fun to do in the dark, but it's all right. We're gonna perimeter it and get it done. There's about it's a 40, but there's not quite 40 acres here, 36. So we'll get this one done. We should have. Oh, why didn't you catch the line? Should have way more than enough on the spreader. Just find the next field after this one. So we're finishing up here. I got like a 5, maybe 10 foot wide strip there. It's not getting covered. If I turn around and go back, it won't even turn the spreader on because it's not a wide enough sliver to override the section control. What do I do with that? The spreader does throw past 80 feet or 40 each way, so you're getting a little bit over there, but you're not really the full rate. I think we're just going to leave it, but that's about the limit. If it gets much wider than that, then you feel like you got to go in and fill it in. Anyway, we got another one done. Turn our spinners off and head to the next field. What do we got? Let's see how our scale did. It says 12,916, 12,607. So we put it on just a little heavier. All right, now we're the opposite problem we had before, but that's okay. That's still pretty darn close. We're within, what, 300 pounds on 36 acres? That's okay. I do love me some seat time in the old A335R. This is such a nice tractor. Very smooth. I don't know. I love driving this one. We bought this tractor new back in 2012. It's a 12-year-old tractor now. I guess this would be the 13th year with it technically. And I planted corn with it for a long time. Basically everything I do with the 8RX now, we used to do with this before we had the 8RX. So yeah, it wasn't my tractor, but it was the tractor that I drove the most, and it was really, really nice. Pushing 5,000 hours on it now, which isn't super high houred, but it's getting up there, I guess. So I don't know, it's nice. Enjoying driving it. Spreader's dialed in just about perfect. There's 2 little fields here. Let's see, not 2 little fields. This is the big field, and then there's another little field in front of this ditch that's up here that was like 12.5 acres, and we were off by 5 pounds in that one. So I feel like that's pretty good. Got our rate right where we want it. I think we've got enough on the spreader to finish this piece, and then we'll go reload and we'll see where we're at. That might be it for the night. I don't know. It's almost 9 o'clock, so I'd like to be done, but I don't want to leave I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Oh. All right, well, the spreader is full. That's our little pile that's left. It's not a lot. Should I go spread out some so I can pick it up? I don't really want to. I think it'll be okay. The chances of rain start in the morning, but they're pretty low until like 11. So I think we'll get a load spread in the morning, and then we can scoop this up and we should be fine. So I'm gonna go put this in the barn. At least we got most of it picked up. We spread a lot of fertilizer today, a lot. Convenient. All right, let's get this closed up. I think Phil's in the office. I'm sure they're done shelling. Yeah, Dad's truck's back here. I don't know how much they got done, but we had a pretty good day. They probably did 30, 35 acres worth of corn. We did the 25 acres of double crop beans, and I'm gonna look it up, but we spread a lot of fertilizer today. 405 acres of fertilizer today. That's a pretty good day. That's yeah, we did well. So I forgot I left that pan test kit sitting out here in the field across the road, so I'm gonna walk over there and try and get it. Nothing like a walk through the fields in the dark, right? Anyway, thanks for watching today. Have a great night. Hit that like and subscribe button. Chances of rain tomorrow. Might slow us down a little bit, although I sort of doubt it. Hopefully I'll get back into shelling some corn. We got fertilizer to spread in the morning if it's not raining. And if the rain keeps holding off or we don't get much, we'll be shelling some corn. So we're getting close. We're getting close to being done here at Waldron. We got to get to Berkey yet, so we'll see. Getting that fertilizer done was a good deal. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.